No. Yes.
We are live.
Hi, welcome to News and Nonsense. I'm a queer Jamfi, aka Auntie, aka the auntie of all aunties, and this is News and Nonsense. I'm also here with...
I'm Farrah, your resident Caribbean queen.
I'm Nana, aka the Black Fairy, aka Dark and Lovely.
Now, because the world is literally going to hell in a handbasket, we thought we'd bring you the news our way. We'll dig through all the news and nonsense out there, give you our take on it. We're here to help you separate the wheat from the chaff, the sack from the crap, what you need to know from what you don't need to know. But first of all, some announcements.
Right.
Nana.
You need... Am I starting off with... What am I starting with?
Just put the like button.
Okay, just put the like button, please. You guys know what to do. Like, pop it now on entry. All of you, as you come in, just press like and share as well. Share. Thank you.
And Farrah, what else do we need your help with? Their help with?
We would also love you to sign up to our membership schemes. We have two tiers. The first tier is $1.99, and it's how you can just be, support us and be our friend. But if you want to be family, if you want to get into the group chat, if you want to get access to all our content early and have extra episodes, it is £4.99. Yes, that's right, £4.99, and still cheaper than an English bag of chips.
And we need your help in the comments. Please get involved and join the discussion. Let us know what you want us to get into, along with commenting on our very, very many topics that we're going to try and get through today in half an hour, guys. Don't try it, half an hour. Also, if you made it this far, you need to know that we are sharing our opinions. We are not experts. We barely had the time to research everything. This is the ultimate aunties WhatsApp group. You want actuals and factuals? Ask TLC or Google. Thank you. We could literally change our minds next week. So any links shared are for you to go forth and figure it out your damn selves. Thank you, please. That's it. Hello, good night.
Yes.
Girls, you need to say your bit.
Listen. I noticed last week. Why are you trying to say hello, good night?
No, I mean, it's been. Do you know how long it's been?
No, I don't know. Just calm down before you comment sometimes. All I'm saying to you is, it makes me laugh because when I had technical difficulties the other day, I was thinking, what, is she trying to be me with her thank you, please, and hello, good night?
No, the thing is,
I've actually started saying hello and good night to people.
Oh, have you?
Literally, yes. The family know it. Like when they're going to bed, I'm like, hello and good night.
Oh,
what I was trying to say is that it was always meant to be that you guys pick up those bits. So I say thank you, please. You say does it, Nana, and Farrah says hello, good night. That's what I was trying to say.
Okay, fair. I love that you guys say it. It's great.
Yeah, it's a thing.
When you come to Grenada, you'll fit right in.
Yeah. This is the saying, isn't it? I need you to say it because it's lovely. Love it. Anyway, guys, get in the comments. Who's going to do the comments? Who's here? Who's here this afternoon?
Okay, all right. We have Yvonne was here right on time. Thank you very much, Yvonne. We also have a new member, Crystal Smith. Woo! Welcome to the family. Thank you so much for signing up. We have Gilda in the house. We have Sora in the house as well, saying good Sunday to everybody. And Yvonne also says it's cheaper than a cup of Costa coffee.
Indeed.
Guys, we're going to get straight into that. It's so much to get through. Apologies for not, I think we weren't with you last week, or was it the week before? I can't even remember now. Time's going so fast. But so much is happening
We were here last week.
We were here last week, I realised. As I said, time's moving fast and I'm confused and I'm auntie, so I forget everything. So we're going to get into the first thing. Lots to get through. First up, we have our good boy Trevor Noah. So he's been, he's from The Daily Show, he's a comedian. He did really well taking over from Jon Stewart when he did The Daily Show. And I am an absolute fan of Trevor Noah. Now, he has his new podcast. I can't remember what it's called. What is it called? It's called What Now with Trevor Noah. It's a really good podcast. He gets into it and he's very, very, very good. But he recently had a discussion just talking on the things that he talks about. And he mentioned, I'm sorry, I'm stalling because I'm trying to find a story because I thought I had it in place. He was talking about just general DEI and the state of Black America, what's going on when it comes to D&I and stuff like that. However, he got onto the topic of integration and he posed just a little question was integration the best thing for Black folks? And it caused a bit of a storm, but I'm going to play you what he says and we'll take it from there. Yeah. Here we go.
I'm going to say this ahead of time. And I'll preface it with this. I oftentimes think to myself, that as human beings, we're searching for solutions to real problems. We very seldom think that we've reached the wrong solution, right? Because we have a good intention. I really believe most human beings do. And in looking at some of your work, your speeches, your writing, and even society itself, even some of the things you're saying now, I found myself wondering, and this applies to America, and then maybe it'll go to other places in a different way because Finland ties in. Do you think that integration was the right move? Like, and now I'm separating two things, because I know in America people are like, well, of course, I mean, there was racism and there's segregation, and I go, yeah, no, I'm separating them. Let's separate someone being oppressed and someone not being able to get a job and someone not being able to get a bank loan. Let's take all of those, the negative things away, because I'll put myself out personally and say, I think whether we're talking about gifted kids who are anomalous, let's say, to the norm, whether we are talking about and I mean anything that does not fit into a category, I think the part of the reason Finland is able to do it is because, have you been to Finland?
It's very homogenous.
I've been to Finland. You know who's in Finland? Finnish people. That's it. And because they're all Finnish, there's an idea of like, no, we all head in the same direction. We all know what our actions mean. And that's a really powerful thing I've learned in communicating with other people. When I'm in a room with anyone where we start to tie together multiple things. So if I'm in a room with Black people, already there's like an implicit trust because we know what certain actions, words, and vibes mean. And then you're in a room with another African. Already. Now you shout at me. I know what your shout means. The same way an Italian knows what an Italian shout means. Yeah. Right? I know I'm prefacing it with a lot because it's a loaded question.
Yes.
But I would love to know if you think integration was the right solution, maybe.
Right, I'm going to pause it there because it's a long conversation that I get into, and I don't want to have their responses influence what we're going to say. So first and foremost, what do you think about this question?
About the question, I think it's a fair one to ask, actually, for all of time, like especially for Black folks, for us to sit down and think, was it the right thing? And should we continue in this human experiment of being integrated and being at the bottom of the pile of this newfound integration? Should we actually carry on with it? I think it's something for us to discuss. Those are my initial thoughts.
It's interesting that you didn't want to play. I understand why, but I think you can't hear me. Well, I can't hear you.
So I was going to say, I want your reaction, that's all, and then we can go into the next bit.
Okay. I think he's separating integration and segregation. So that's my reaction to that. And there are benefits in not always integrating, which is why you have Black colleges and you have, you know, these types of things, because the schooling that you can get in your own environment, there are benefits to that. So I think segregation and integration are two different things.
On the other side of, you know, what America, of civil rights.
Yeah, no, I don't. And I don't think it's actually that controversial when, if you understand that segregation and integration weren't the only options. Like those are, within those two options, it may seem like integration is the more progressive. Like, of course, we don't want segregation. But again, when you're being integrated into institutions, into a culture that's a supremacist culture, that's a culture that feeds off of hierarchy, that feeds off of insecurity, anxiety, why are we being integrated into that? And so part of it is to question what we're being invited into. And so, again, when you think about the example of Finnish being homogenous, you know, nation states are imagined. The national identity is not something that is, you know, God-given. It's not something that, you know, existed for eternity. These identities were created, maintained, you know, made durable over time. And so part of the stretching our imagination is to recognize all of the things that have been made up, but made to seem immutable, fixed, you know, intrinsic, including our national sort of identities. And so part of it is really like to denaturalize the things that we take for granted as somehow magically operating to make us feel connected to each other, and ask ourselves, how else can we be connected to engender this sense of solidarity where what I want for my kids, I also want for my neighbor's kids.
You're on mute.
Again, I was just saying it is long, so I will pause it there. So
I like, you know what? Okay, so to go back onto the absolute backlash that this little clip has received is phenomenally amazing. Watching the whole podcast, it's like, wow, what people will clip and then make all of these different think pieces on and react to is such a wild thing for the conversation. And why can we not talk about integration and what we integrated into from all factions? So that is even just getting independence and what that meant, like all of the different ways the laws that were put in place under colonialism were carried on. Like, we have to have a conversation about what is going on in the world and how we can reimagine it. But that people are saying this is wrong of him to even be talking about this is so wild. It just seems really weird to me. I don't get it.
Yeah, because he's not saying let's bring back segregation. He's not saying that at all. He's just exploring the idea of integration. They are exploring the idea of integration, and as you said, Nana, what that actually means. What she said in the podcast too. You know, like it's not like we've been integrated on a level pegging. No, we haven't. Yeah. If we all started at the same point in our integration, then okay, cool, isn't it? And if we all had the same, not only just started, if we had the same ability to succeed in integration, and we didn't have a set of laws made to keep certain people down, then okay, cool. Yeah. But if we really analyze it, what we've integrated to is still a colonial system that is not to the benefit of the people who have been colonized. So. Yeah.
Let me play this clip as well from which I found on the internet about this guy talking about, oh God, is it going to do it again? Is that talking about...
And there is this saying that Nigerians and Indians were both colonized by the British, but the Indians rejected the British culture. They rejected the British religion. They rejected the British food. They rejected the British way of doing things and hold on to the British technology, you know. And then we have the Nigerians, that is us Africans, accepted the British culture, the British dress code, the British food, the British every religion, and rejected the British technology. Now that is where the Indians are the most advanced. They don't need to speak English to make a cell phone. Yeah, but me and you are colonized to believe that the more you speak a better English,
you can clean it.
You are intelligent. But a perfect English is not a mark of intelligence. A mark of linguistic ability. You are able to speak. I speak 14 languages. I speak Swahili. I speak Spedi. I speak Xhosa, your language. I speak 14 languages. You understand? It doesn't necessarily make me intelligent. It makes me a linguistic. But we were colonized to believe that because you speak a perfect English, therefore you are intelligent. But how many perfect English speakers among us invented anything?
I mean, that's a word. And I think that's my point. That's going back to what you said, Nana, is the way that this was manipulated, because I was actually going to make D.L. Hughley, but now we're talking about here, I might not, but D.L. Hughley, my enemy of progress next week, because I thought somehow irresponsible that someone can take to his platform, someone as vocal as he is, and I like some of the things he talks about. He's not afraid to get into the mix of racial conversations, but to take that, and he actually said, oh, Trevor, no, I don't want to hear from no more South Africans, lumping him into the same category as Elon Musk. Jesus. And it's like, how can you say
he wasn't?
Do you know what I'm saying? Like, how can you do that? And I understand, and it's not even like, I'm not even going to say, oh, for clicks, for likes, for that. You're seriously angry. Maybe I'll find what D.L. Hughley, I'll find a clip of D.L. Hughley and let you lot talk amongst yourselves while I say this. But it's like, why are you disrespecting Trevor Noah in such a harsh way when that's not what he said? When you watch the whole thing, it's like a little, he prefaced it. He said, he asked a question which journalists are supposed to do. This is what we talk about as a journalist. And what the media has done to destroy the world, I believe, that our media is supposed to educate us, inform us when it comes to news journalism. We have fucked it. Journalists have fucked the way that people think and understand information. So the fact that as a journalist or as a reporter, you're coming to now undermine what Trevor says and pretend, basically lie and say he just said he rubbished what integration did and segregation meant to Black Americans specifically. That really incensed me. But yeah, go on. I'm going to find the clip.
I mean, even the fact that he's saying like, don't say anything. He doesn't want to hear from any South Africans. And he's referring that to a Black South African is ignorant. Because the things that Trevor Noah went through in his lifetime, and that his parents went through, or his mother specifically went through in her lifetime, if you can't rubbish that. And it was on a whole different level to segregation in America. So you cannot rubbish that. Yeah. So I'm very disappointed that he chose to not listen to the whole thing in its context and speak on it. It's really bad. Trevor Noah wasn't saying let's bring back segregation and I want to drink at the coloured fountain. He didn't say that. That's not what he talked about. He literally was posing a question. Do you think integration, not segregation, or apartheid, integration was right for us? That's what he said. I don't know how that can be misconceived unless you're really not listening to the word or you're not actually understanding that there is a difference between segregation and integration.
It's weird. I watched these two, they're called the Conservative Twins, if anybody wants to look them up. Their content is really coonish, but they watched it and their whole thing, why they found it so annoying and disappointing and rude from a Black South African to be talking on this, is that they truly prefer to be in white America than to be around Black people. And their reasonings were very similar to D.L. Hughley as well. And I was like, oh, so there's a set of folks that are like, although we kind of have it bad in America in various different ways, we would still always prefer here than reimagining how we would integrate. And that to me is a huge problem with Black folk around the diaspora, that it's like, I am content with the crumbs that we've been given because the brainwashing that anything else, like we deserve something else, it's really been ingrained. Like it's actually like we are choosing our repression now. And the more you look into it, the more you see that there's so many people that are choosing to be oppressed. Let me
play this. Let me see if it'll play. I have to refresh it.
That may be the stupidest thing I've ever. And first off, I've heard enough from South Africans this year. That's enough. I'd like to between Elon Musk and Trevor. I don't need to hear about race from two dudes from South Africa. I heard enough. Black schools and HBCUs and our system exists. And she could have said that virtually about every system that exists in America, from policing to banking to housing. Every single one is inundated with white supremacy. All of it. So, and the thing that I find that I resent the most is that our story always starts in the middle. HBCUs came as a result of what we couldn't have. Everywhere we live, every Black neighborhood is where we were told to live. Everywhere. Even school, like they want integration some places. I bet you want it in the Super Bowl, because without Black people, that shit would be rugby. So it's an interesting conversation to have, except that I think the outcome, I mean, where she lands is a bit disingenuous. It's specific. You can't just talk about education, because the only reason you get educated is to indoctrinate yourself, is to be involved in those other systems.
My understanding was one of the underlying reasons why it was so important to integrate schools is because Black schools were grossly underfunded.
And still are.
And still are. But by integrating, you're creating more of a level playing field where everybody's in the same school.
It should be the same.
What happened was whatever schools white kids could go to, when Black kids started going there, they left and they took their resources with them. So they in fact became, look at every school, look at all the schools we go to that at one time, integration meant that we could come, and they left. Not only did they leave, they took their resources. So this notion that integration ever existed was wrong. White flight happened as soon as integration started. And with them, they took their resources. So we still, in effect, have virtually the same thing.
I remember vividly the early 60s and seeing you know, people getting beaten over the heads with batons. I remember Mississippi and Alabama where they wouldn't let black kids into schools. It's better today. There's still racism, but it has gotten better over the years.
That is undeniable. But we try to put someone, Ruby Bridges, who integrated schools in Alabama, Louisiana, is still alive. She's 71. She's still alive. So what America tends to do is act like it's so long ago. Yes, they don't wear hoods and maybe they don't do the things that they did before, but some of it is still so entrenched, so some is so insidious that I think that people, this is my honest assessment of it. I don't think most white people agree with the motives of white supremacists and white nationalists. I don't think they like their words, but I think they agree with their goals, which is to keep white people in charge. I think that they don't agree with their motives. They don't might not agree with their terminology or their verbiage, but they most certainly agree that white people should be in charge.
Okay, so for what DL's, first of all, this conversation is gone all over the place because it's not.
Yeah, because I'm confused. I'm confused.
You know what it is? He didn't have a strong enough argument.
That's precisely because he agrees with him. He agrees with the conversation.
Yeah, because actually, when you think about it, because where I've said this before, and sometimes I'm thinking it's not a question of like, I said I would be a lot more comfortable let's use Black Panther Wakanda, for example. I would like to put a dome over Africa, a dome over the Caribbean, and have black people sort our shit out first. And then look at how we deal with the rest of the world, namely the Western white folks who come to our country. We let them in, we have let them in, we've acquiesced our power to them. We have been brainwashed into believing that their success, their technology, their intelligence is better than ours. As Uncle said in the previous clip, talking about we are colonized to believe that if we don't speak English, we're dumb. Because there's one thing I don't like. When I was making the joke about the aunties WhatsApp group, sometimes I've had sent from people, not even just aunties, sending me clips of those things when they have Africans trying to say English words and stuff, and they're laughing at them. I never laugh because I don't find it funny when you're saying, "Oh, say congenial," and they're like, "Oh, good, we're good," and they're just stumbling on it because have got an accent. That was even taking piss, but stumbling on it because of their accent, and then you're laughing at the fact that they don't speak English. But I'm like, why the fuck are we laughing at people that are not from England because they can't speak English? We are not conditioned to be proud of ourselves in so many ways. We downplay our blackness in so many ways. So how about, there's an interesting thing that when from America and around the world, when it was okay, slavery's over, colonialism's over, let us have our time together and figure out who the fuck we are after we've been so raped and pillaged and destroyed. Then we can come to it on a level playing field. That is the part where I'm just like, let's have that conversation. Let's be ready to deal with our oppressors in a way that doesn't have us still bowing down to them as they're the fucking senior leaders of us and rulers of us. That's where I'm like, that's
okay. All right. So just to go talk about D.L. Hughley and the whole Trevor Noah thing and the integration, segregation, all that stuff. I don't think that Trevor Noah was suggesting that there should be no integration anywhere, because the idea of no integration anywhere also is segregation, right? But I think he's exploring what it would be like if we didn't integrate into everything. And it goes back to what I said about us having a level pegging. If you think about what Black people were doing during segregations in the cities and the towns that they were able to build for themselves, you had Black Wall Street, you had Tulsa,
yes.
You had what is known now as Central Park. You had all of these areas, and I'm saying America to begin with, but if you look at the Caribbean and Haiti and the things that they were able to do before they had to start paying back all of this money, you look at all the countries in the Caribbean who essentially the Europeans left them there to rot because they couldn't live there. That's why the Caribbean is Caribbean the way that it is now. If you look at Africa and the countries that were given back, there's certain times they had to follow certain laws in order, as you said before, Koya, to be free, right? Mm-hmm. They had to pay people to be free. But then you did have streams of places that were able to thrive. But what happened when those places thrived? Laws came out to say that, no, you can't do this. Oh, in order for you to have land, you have to be able to read. You have to be able to do this. And people didn't have those skills. So then no, that got taken back from you. You're not smart enough to run your own country. So we're going to come in and run it for you because you're not smart enough. And you're going to pay us for doing that. You're going to be in debt to us for doing that. So I think there's a conversation there about what people are actually trying to talk about when they're saying integration versus segregation. No one's suggesting that we shouldn't be allowed to go into something, but what we are suggesting is that we're not on this level yet. Let us, as you just said, let us get there first, because we can't all integrate in the same way. We can't integrate as Thomas, who's gone back and has like fucking generational wealth leading back into the beginning of time. We're not at that level yet. And the idea that he said, if there was no black people in what is it? Not the NFL. What's it called?
In Super Bowl it would be.
But it's not NFL. Is it NFL? Yeah, it is in the NFL. Yeah. And it would be rugby. Rugby is known all over the world. It's not, it's an international game and it does well. And in South Africa and in New Zealand, they have people of color playing these games and achieving. So what do you mean? What did that even mean? There was a lot in there that was really confusing with what he was saying. And I think it's because some of it he didn't really have a point. So he was just picking on things and he was just going around in circles. But I'm going around in circles now, but it's just infuriating sometimes.
No, but it's like it's sensing.
I just wanted to gun him to start off with, but actually everything he said was kind of reconfirming what they were discussing, that the integration wasn't as said, and that has been everywhere. Now, to go to the uncle that was talking about Nigeria and India, I think these again are fallacies that as black folks we tell ourselves that we definitely got it a hell of a lot worse than our Asian counterparts. And in some ways we did, but they did two different forms of colonialism in different places. It wasn't all the same. And it's like, for one, I think a lot of us look at them and we see their oligarchs like that's Indians. Like the majority did well. And it's like the overwhelming majority are far more poor than Nigerians are. Like the scale of poverty to richness over there is vast. Like they were done a number over there as well. And there's more of them. Like literally. So it's like it's very easy from our point to be like, oh, they did us so dirty. They did them dirty as well. And they are having wars in similar ways like the Africans are. It's like the British Empire was fuckeries everywhere. Nobody got it better. The only better deals are because they want to create a hierarchy to come back here. So they give people different deals in the same way going to America. A Chinese American gets a better deal than the Africans that go to America. It's like they do a pecking order. So then you kind of fight amongst each other instead of looking at the structure that they've put in place that fucks us all up so that we don't all join together, which again pisses me off really going through our comments and the amount of Black Americans that are basically doing the bidding for white supremacy in fighting with other Black people. My mind boggles that we are in this place that 600 years later we can be like, I'm the better Black, that we're still having those conversations. Like my struggle is worse than your struggle and you need us. And it's like, seriously, when are we going to free ourselves? When are we going to get better?
It's like you said about different forms of colonialism. Like there's so many different forms of colonialism and different forms of slavery. We're now in this place where it's mental slavery. But the best thing that they have ever done, and it's their best used tool, is to divide and conquer. And we say it all the time because they have this. It's that hierarchy that you mentioned as well, Nana. You weren't done as dirty as the American Black people in anywhere else. Well, actually, people were done dirty. It's just different, isn't it? So, it does infuriate me.
It's different systems, and also the selling of like an integrated society as a selling point. America has been great at PR wise. in selling this notion of American nationalism and exporting that out so that they can continue to be a superpower. A lot, the majority of Americans have fed into this and have enjoyed the superpower status. And as that empire crumbles, I get it. People are going to scramble for it. But I would just love for more Black folks to be like, this isn't ours anyway. Like, we can actually go, the world is ours. Like, we don't have to hold on to this American nationalism, because how has it served us? Actually, like, we haven't even been integrated properly. Like, it's, you know, I don't understand why people go into the military in the same way like that as well. It's like, why are you doing that?
I think on that note, I think in America, there's that kind of taking out of poverty. You get a military job, you get wages, you get that regular income.
Yeah, get college education.
A way out of poverty. That's a different kind of selling for that. But yeah, also, I would never encourage anyone in my family Black to go and join any military. However, I want to say also when you're talking about selling this conveyor land of multiculturalism, so is the UK. Definitely the UK has really prided itself, like, we're all in this together. That, like we always say, as British Black folk, UK born Black folk, we have a different type of racism over here. They will smile in your face. They make us everything's nice, everything's okay. Oh, we're not racist. They will tell you in your face they're not racist, and they have exactly the same restrictive laws in the UK that they do have in America.
If you walk around the UK, I'm going to talk about London because that's where we live, yeah. But if you go to the city of London, right, and you walk around, you will see statues of people who were slave owners. Right. Yeah. You will see the palaces and all the things that were built off the back of colonialism and slave owners. If you go to the British Museum, you will see artifacts from their pillaging around the world. Right. And the minute, as a Black British person, you start to talk about it, you're told you've got a chip on your shoulder. When there was the protest and Black people were basically trying to say, you know, we need to rename these streets. They had streets called Black Boy Lane and stuff like that. So,
go and carry on, Farrah.
Sorry, they had, but you know, there's been streets called Black Boy Lane. There's been streets that are named after slave owners, and we've been protesting and saying that this is not right in this day and age. They were more incensed that in Bristol, someone knocked over a statue of a former slave owner than what was actually going on and why people were protesting. They talk about don't try and get rid of our history, but then at the same time they're saying that you can't talk about the colonial and the slavery of the British experience. They want to make out like it doesn't exist anymore. You have people like Piers Morgan going online and talking about why don't you support the royal family? Do you know how much the royal family have done for us? And why do these Caribbean countries want to get rid of the royal family? Don't they know that they owe it all to us? You have politicians like that Smog guy, I can't remember his fucking name, him talking about, oh, you owe us, you know, you wouldn't be civilized if it wasn't for us. In fact, you should be paying us reparations, not the other way around. It's happened here too. Yeah. It's just the way that it happens is it's so different. As I said before, don't forget that Britain is the daddy of fucking colonialism. It's the daddy of it.
And that feeds nicely into the next story, because we've got this guy called John Dower who backs No Room for Slavery campaign, calling for the British Museum exhibition. Basically, John Dower is a co-founder of Heirs of Slavery. And so hear that, Heirs of Slavery is supporting the No Room for Slavery campaign, which urges the British Museum to establish a permanent exhibition addressing the UK's role in the transatlantic slave trade. So Heirs of Slavery was founded in April 2023 by descendants of individuals who profited from slavery, advocates for historical acknowledgement and reparative measures. Dower, along with co-founder Laura Trevelyan, who we've spoken about before, is descended from the Trevelyan family, which received significant compensation in 1835 for enslaved people in Grenada. The campaign aims to confront Britain's colonial past and its lasting impact by promoting public awareness and education through a dedicated museum space. I shall press play now, if I can.
Transatlantic trade in African people. My name is John Dower. I'm a member of the Trevelyan family. I had the impression that my family were linked to the great and the good in the abolition movement, that they had always been public-facing, philanthropic. They were politicians. My great-grandfather was in the Labour cabinet, and therefore I had the impression that we were on the side of the good guys. In 2016, after reading an article by David Olusoga, I went to the Legacies of Slavery database, put the name Trevelyan into the search bar and discovered that our family were linked very seriously to enslavement and plantation ownership. And that was the moment my life changed. The other thing I felt was, oh my God, I'm not who I think I am. I'm actually a member of the establishment, the privileged class. I think coming to terms with the trickle-down effect of all of that sense of entitlement, wealth, privilege is common amongst many, many, many people in this country, many of whom do not want to admit that, and that includes the British Museum. I want our institutions, our culture, our society to be able to move beyond just glorying in our past as if our best days were behind us. They're not. We're a better society today than we were back then. So a confident 21st century British Museum can and must do a better job of talking about the role of slavery played in our modern world.
I mean,
before we say anything, this goes back to people thinking that slavery was such a long time ago. This is a man who is alive today whose family benefited from slavery in Grenada. Now, I've spoken about the fact that my mum's great grandmother, who she knew, who was a prominent person in the community, was a doula, was born a slave in Grenada. Just let that sink in. My mum's alive. She can remember having conversations with her great grandmother about being born a slave. And this is a man, a descendant of someone who benefited from slavery in Grenada. It's not that long ago.
No, not at all. And if you think about it, like just economics wise, there are lots of white people in all of our various fields that are able to get ahead very quickly because their families have a cushioning of money. Mm-hmm. And nobody ever talks about how these families who were seemingly middle class have money that you can fund maybe 3 children working for free for like 2-3 years. Mm-hmm. And a lot of it is from slavery. And it's piles of money and property and land that they own in lots of different ways that their descendants can just occupy spaces and nobody talks about it. And I think a lot of them don't talk about it because of the shame, but also the lack of knowledge as well. Because it's not out there, it's not taught. It's like slavery was this far distant thing and there are nobody that's profiting from it now. There are so many white people that always say that, like, but I don't have anything from my ancestors. But your family has 7 houses that is shared amongst all of you and your cousins. How did you get that shit?
Yeah, meanwhile, my mum's the first person in her family to ever buy a house. And I don't think anyone, no, there's only one person since my mum in my family who's been able to buy a house. Like,
there's that saying that history is told by the victors. And so in that, you're going to ignore all the bits that went wrong. You're going to deny and hide all the bits that show that you're not that much of a heroic victor. You're actually a devil, basically.
Basically, isn't that what his family did? Yeah. But basically, the family, somewhere along the line, somebody then switched it round and told the family that they were a part of the abolitionist movement.
Yeah.
So then that turns into that was the family history. Like this is what we did. Like they erased, we had plantations and probably skewed it to, but we've got land in Grenada. Like, there are ways that you can pass down a story and people will carry it on. But nobody's going to think, why have we got this land in Grenada?
Where did it come from? How have we got land in Grenada? We're over here. Stephanie Morgan, sorry, I just want to say to this point. Stephanie Morgan says, I'm definitely carrying my family slave master's surname. The damage is still there. And it's very true. I remember having a conversation with a colleague once, and she like a white colleague. And I was trying to explain to her, slavery and the fact that it's still damaging to us as Black people all over the diaspora today, because we don't know who we are. I can trace my family back to a certain point and then there's nothing else. And I'm tracing that back to a certain point under somebody else's name. Like, who the fuck is Charles? I say it all the time. Who is that person? And if I was to go and look at who Charles is, it's some man that owned my family at some point.
And it's and what he said, and exactly that, and it's what he said about I didn't understand that walking oblivion, where sometimes I think when you watch the full Trevor Noah conversation, they have that conversation about actually sometimes it's taking that moment to, I'm paraphrasing, taking that moment to really hear what people are saying, because I can get angry at this man saying, how can you walk around in your privilege and not know about the shit that your people have done? But on a day-to-day, like we do as Black people, like our repression is the worst oppression, but actually, what about the South Asians? What about the East Asians? There are definitely some white people that are so oblivious to the insidious, disgusting, dark past that they come from, because all they've had is Henry VIII, 1066, all of this. We are the victors. And I can't. I'm not going to excuse them. I can't also blame them for just living life, going through life, and not even understanding it. So when you have Americans and when you have the UK trying to either remove, because that's what's happening now with the DEI movement, removing big, deep facts about history, Black history, and over here we don't get taught enough. This is why we're walking in oblivion, all of us, because I don't know a lot about.
We don't get taught anything here.
I know
Let's
about
be real.
I know
we don't get taught anything.
I know about the South Asian colonialism. I know what happened, but I don't know intrinsically what happened and how it affected them. I don't know all the things. I know about my people because that's all about the capacity I have to know about my people, unless I'm in a community. If you happen to live in proximity with them, then that's different. Or if you happen to study the same religion, if I was Islam or Muslim or Buddhist, I might then be surrounded by a community of people where I get to know more about them. Other than that, all I've got is my African and Caribbean cousins that I just about know enough of, because I can't take on all that trauma.
But what we do know is at the end of colonialism, what they did, the British and let me say the Europeans, was to make draw lines in the sand and say that these people are these people and you belong here and this is now your country. And the reason for that is divide and fucking conquer. That's why they've done those things. It's literally like, India was one big land. I'm going to see if I can find it. There's a guy who's talking about Palestine, but he's Bangladeshi, and he talks about the separation and all this stuff happened. Churchill, someone said it in the comments, all we hear about is the great things that Churchill did. We don't hear about the fact that he starved millions of Indians and sent food in reserves to the UK. We don't hear about these things. We don't hear about the things that he did in Africa to the tribes over there and killed a bunch of people and said, and then in his own personal diaries, relishes in it and talks about it like it's a great sport. We don't hear about those things. And the minute that you even say anything about Churchill, you'll get told, oh, you would be speaking German if it wasn't for someone like Churchill. Like, come on.
Like, come on. I guess Destiny Love Media Production. Yes, exactly that. Your Black history comes from America. I didn't learn anything from Africa and Britain. Same. We've had this.
It's exactly that. That is precisely what our problem is with history. And they do it purposefully so that you feel a little bit displaced, but then also you have a camaraderie with like British history because it's just indoctrinated, but they're not telling you the full scale at all. When I actually learned a lot about India and Pakistan and Bangladesh and Afghanistan was during South Asian History Month. I can't remember what month it is. I think it may be in July, but it's around there. And one year, Channel 4 actually did a whole series of programs. And my mouth was open as to the millions of people that were killed indiscriminately, and we don't have a Holocaust Day for that. Like, it's just not spoken about. Like, literally, it's like there. And so I understand also parts to the contempt that they have as well, because it's the same type of thing. They have stories of Black uprisings and feel like, but what about our uprisings? Why does nobody talk about that? So it's, again, we're running an oppression Olympics with each other when really we all have a common enemy that did shit, and we all need reparations for it. It's not just Black, but everybody needs to be compensated, really. And we need to be like, no, this can't happen again. Because realistically, it's happening again. It is like under all of our watch. And so it's like, we have to talk about it more so that people actually can see the through lines of history repeating itself again.
So this leads me nicely into some solution points, because Barbados Prime Minister Mia Motley, to the bad girl gangster, calls for African Caribbean unity. So she urged the African and Caribbean to unite in her speech at the African Union Summit earlier this month. She emphasized the need for economic justice, reparations, and deeper collaboration between the two regions, highlighting Africa's growing global influence. As chair of CARICOM, Motley announced plans for the first in-person CARICOM AU summit in Addis Ababa this September, the 15th Caribbean Festival of Arts, CARIFESTA, in August, strengthening cultural and economic ties. Her speech was a call to action, challenging leaders to dismantle barriers and create a shared future. I'll play a little bit here.
Thank you very much, Madam Chairperson. Your Excellencies, and may I start, Chairperson of the African Union, President of Angola, Your Excellency, Prime Minister of the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia, and our host, Dr. Abiy Ahmed, Your Excellency, outgoing Chairperson of the African Union and President of the Islamic Republic of Mauritania, Your Majesties, Your Excellencies, Heads of State and Government of the African Union, and First Ladies present, Your Excellency, the President of the Palestinian Authority, distinguished delegates, ambassadors, and guests, but inspired the people of Africa and the children of the African diaspora that good would prevail over evil and light over darkness, but only in the context of our unity. I stand here conscious that it was that battle that forged the beginnings of Pan-Africanism that eventually led to the movement for independence and the destruction of the colonial powers to give us not full development and power, but the first steps of political independence. I stand here conscious and buffeted by the dreams and works of the great Pan-African pioneers, and conscious that as a children of the Caribbean, we have long dreamt for the moment of unity with our brothers and sisters of Africa, a division that was secured by those whose success and survival depended on separation of us rather than on the ability for us to act as one common people. Our relationship, you can say, was embryonic, but regrettably, as long as it has been and as related as we have been, it has been sporadic. And it is up to us as the children of independent states to determine whether the history of separation shall be our future, or whether the spirit of Adwa can be our inspiration to confront the challenges of a new world.
Mate, I could cry. I don't
Honestly, know. I love it. I love it. I love her. I love
That's what they're scared of, though.
Honestly.
Oh,
that's what they're scared of. She's brilliant. She's always been fucking brilliant. But this is what they're scared of. They are scared of unification. And in the Caribbean and in Africa at the moment, the leaders that we have, the good leaders that we have, should I say, this is what they're talking about, unification. And they just don't like it. And all of them are coming together and talking about reparations and what we're owed as a people.
Mm-hmm.
I think, and it's nerve-wracking because we've seen, and I think this is what's happened as well. We've seen what certain people do when their back's against the wall, and their back doesn't even have to be against the wall. Just for their power hungriness, they'll do whatever. So I'm frightened about this conversation being happening in public. I wish we had a closed door where we can have that, but somehow there's a bat signal to all the Black people that can hear it magically. There's a chip in our brain that we can hear whenever we're talking. I don't want this to be public facing, but we need a way to call to action. But I'm nervous, but this is what I want. I'm emotional about it because yes, United States of Africa, and whatever that means, or United States of Africa, Caribbean, CARIFEST, Africa, whatever you call it. just it needs to happen. And it is, as you said, and as you said, Farrah, put down all these tribalism is tribalism. We understand, you know, the French and the Italians might have a rivalry. We can have that as banter. But when we come together in the name of taking back what's ours and owning what's ours and just being on a level playing field, it's not even about getting rid of white folks in that way. It's about being on a level playing field when we're not seen as benevolent dependence on people that have got nothing to do with us.
Yeah, I've just put something in the group. Deacon Mitchell, who's the Prime Minister of Grenada, he was at the European Commission the other day, and he made a statement. So can you just play it if you can get hold of it?
Destiny Love, in that conference, she will actually, Ibrahima Toure will be there. Ibrahima Toure, he will be there as well. It's important that they have more conferences like that. In a similar way, I think and I get what you're saying, AK, like the online talking of this, when you think of the platforms that have been removed, like there's the African, somebody in the chat, tell me who it is. I think it's, and
they had to do backup. Yes, basically, I know what you mean. It's got out my head as well.
Yes, it's the African something, and it was a really good platform. I used to watch their films all the time and their discussions. And again, what they always do this, they plant a thing of like they're communists. They'll have to change it now because communism has died. So it will probably be like, no, they're black supremacists or something like that. Or they're black fascists. Like they'll spin it. And then lots of people jump on that, like we can't be associated with those people, and then that collapses. To me, it's no coincidence that Pan-Africanism was having an absolute resurgence since the 80s, 90s, and into the early 2000s, and people were actually embracing calling themselves African in various different factions, or even just saying Afro-Caribbean, Afro-Latino, like that was becoming a thing. And then all you start to get is ADOS and FBA movements. It's no coincidence that they would do that you would have a separate movement coming from a big populace like America to be like, we're not even associated with Africa. We are indigenous to America, or because we built America, America is ours, and we are now no longer looking to Africa for anything. They will do those things on purpose, like absolutely, so that you fracture things, and then people start within their own countries, within the diaspora, being like, actually, why are we looking to Africa for anything anyway? Like we can build here up, and then we stay small. They know what they're doing. They always plant so that you don't grow.
And it's the words that they use. It's interesting, like we were just saying, like for anyone that goes against their norm or their compliance, should I say, not norm, anyone that goes against their compliance, they use a word for them. It's either terrorism, it's fascism, it's communism. It's one of the three things, because they want to put fear into anybody that's within the Western world. Look, they're against us. They hate us. Look at them. They're trying to get together. We need to maintain our safety, our security. That's what it's all about.
You see, this comment is absolutely indicative of what they do. Is you're going to come for our thing. It's promotion of individualism instead of a collective consciousness that will raise us above. We're not going to get out of our plight with people that you are entitled, or you feel entitled to what we have created. Everybody in the diaspora has moved forward culture in various different ways, but collectively we should be trying to be unified.
Yeah, I feel it's colonial mindset mixed with consumerism. I think we've had this conversation, and I know we have to keep having it, but we've got a long doc to get through and other news stories. But I think, and it's going to take time. I'm going to reserve patience and not going to get angry, but for anyone in Black America who feels like we don't have the right to talk, I think you really have to understand how much American culture, Black and white and otherwise, has been brainwashed and exported into other countries in the world, across the world. So it's not,
and that's also just to go back on that. That's also for them to maintain their supremacy. Nana said something like that earlier on. That's
exactly
the reason why it's been exported in the way that it's been exported.
Exactly, because that land of the great, and it's not. And again, for someone else in the comments that says there are Black Americans indigenous to America, absolutely not. Just it's not about anyone trying to disconnect you from your history. I don't think it's that. What it is like, how do we unify? Because separating ourselves at this time when you guys are Trump is coming for everything, and then we've got our people over here coming for everything, and we've got our home and original, where we're originally from, regardless of whether we're indigenous. I was born in the UK, so I'm indigenous to the UK, but I have a place where my ancestors came from. And then the difference between me being a British Black person and you being an American Black person is the fact that, yes, it might be easier for me to touch my ancestors, my birthplace, my original birthplace, than yours. But the fact of the matter is, where we originally came from is the same place. So in all of that, it's not denying who you are, what you've built, and the land that you're on. It's about how do we come together to stop people coming for us and treating us like we don't own or deserve to have a rightful place anywhere. And that's all it needs to be. We do not need to be fighting amongst ourselves about, you just like our culture, you just want to tear about our country. It's not that. Come here and understand it. Go Africa, go Caribbean, and understand that there's more to the world than just that space that you're holding on to, which you shouldn't.
Culture and the culture that you have, yes, in every place that we have gone, it has been shaped and it's been developed, and it has, the word is, evolved. Yeah, in every place. But there are threads of where that culture originated from, and those are the things that bind us together, Lord. Bind us together, Lord.
Even talking about hip hop, when you say us not talking about hip hop started from, I think, like, what was it, Grandmaster, one of them? Wasn't he Caribbean heritage? It's from
it's a Jamaican.
Yeah. So what are we talking about?
Sound system.
What are we talking
again,
about?
You can even like through line threading, you can find that in various different cultures as well. The thing that is it's still, it shouldn't even be shocking, but going to Jamaica and literally seeing family members in Jamaica to the houses that they were living in was exactly the same as houses built in Kumasi. That threw me off.
But I've said that to you guys.
Going to New Orleans. Going to New Orleans and walking around and seeing people, that could be my uncle there. Literally same place. Housing, exactly the same. That's the through line thread. It's like, you can place us anywhere. You go to Portugal, there's houses that are built the same. It's literally like it's the same shit.
Food. Like, what the reason why certain things, like, okay, I've said it before, you guys will have like fufu, we have something called kuku, and the reason why it's different is because what we had, the tools that we had in the place that we were, that's why it's different. But there are threads. Don't ignore the thread. We're not saying to you ignore everything that you've built and you've achieved. We're not saying that at all, because we say the same thing about Britain. Like, they told us to come here and fix their fucking country after the war. They told us to do that, and we came and we fixed their country, and we were met with racism and fucking segregation and all that type of shit. We were met with that, and we've helped build this country. But we cannot forget the thread of what unites us and where we've come from. It's crazy.
Honestly, let's play this clip that you have, and then we'll move somewhere else. Oh, for fuck's sake, hold on, sorry.
But I will say to you, therefore, that the issue of reparations for the transatlantic slavery and the enslavement of African peoples and Black bodies, as my comrade Ralph likes to say, is an issue that we will take up with you. That the transatlantic slave trade and the enslavement of Africans in the Caribbean, Latin, Central, South, and North America is accepted as a crime against humanity, and that the appropriate apology and compensation is paid, and that the international community accepts that this should never happen again.
And yes, Honorable Deacon Mitchell, slavery is a crime against humanity.
She's a witch.
Who's this chick?
Your Excellency, Ursula von der Leyen, I don't mean to be impolite,
Listen, she's saying,
but I will say to you, therefore, that the issue of reparations
Ursula
for the
von
transatlantic
whatever her name
slavery
is.
and the enslavement of African peoples
Yes,
and
come back
black
to the beginning.
bodies as
Oh, sorry, I missed that because
No, her name is Ursula von der Leyen, and she's the president of the European Commission.
Okay, so that was as far as she was prepared to go. Oh, she's the leader of the G7. Okay, cool. So as far as she is prepared to go at this moment is to say, yes, slavery is bad.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
still
but
no
this is the same woman that
apologies.
backs Israel. No, this is the same woman that backs Israel and when and have put flags up and doesn't even want to recognize a Palestinian state. Same chick, her.
Bruh. Yeah. We just. I mean, I wish I could build a dome. I really do wish. Whatever thing is real. I wish. All right, I'm trying to find. Talk amongst yourselves. Trying to find the next place to jump to.
Okay.
I said talk amongst yourselves.
Just to even go back to Trevor Noah, I would really urge everybody to watch that episode that he has. Her name, have you put it in the comments?
Yeah.
The professor that he's speaking to, I just love how she positions what humanity could be if we truly reimagined, like being considerate to each other, even the next door racist person. She still even has like very sympathetic words to why they are in the flux that they're in and what they don't want to let go of. And but I came away from watching that like, you know what, for real, there has to, you kind of got to lead with a level of empathy, but with accountability. That it's not like we're going to take time, like, you know, with South Africa, it was always like, we're going to reform, but 100 years later, they're still in apartheid. It's like, no, we can be sympathetic to your ignorance as to what is going on and your selfishness, but there has to be accountability and the world has to change. Like, you can't, all empires end. Like, we have to end.
Rome must fall.
Yeah.
And it did. You know, everything is going to end. Like the American empire is going to end. It has to. And something else can come in its place. But can the something else that comes in its place be for the betterment of humanity? Like, can we just try and have that for our children at least? That it's a better world. Are you ready now?
Are you up?
I think so. I don't. Oh no, I'm not.
Oh, hang on. Erin is saying, how do you ladies feel about Ghana opening its doors to almost 300 Arabs were given citizenship? They've actually been given citizenship to everybody, lots of different people.
Yeah.
I mean, I love that they did the 500 plus for the African Americans. There was also quite a few, I think that last count, it was like over 200 that was given to various different Europeans.
Yeah, I know some British people that have got it.
Yeah. You know what? The thing of opening Ghana scares me a bit because they're so in the pocket of the West.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter which leader at this moment in time, they all seem to be doing exactly the same things, which within itself, obviously, as the West loses its superpower status, is going to crumble. I wish they would follow suit on the, like, you know, even like Burkina Faso, like, just do it gradually, like separate out gradually so it's not so drastic. But how it's going, it does feel like at some point, unless you can keep it equal and the poverty levels don't go too extreme, there may be a civil war eventually. And it may be 100 years time, but they're not looking after the balance of things. They're basically invest, but you're not doing infrastructure for the poor people or the indigenous people in Ghana. And it can't be another playground where rich people get rich. That is what causes civil wars. So I'm a bit scared. I'm scared but hopefully there'll be a new African thought and that will spread throughout the continent, hopefully.
That's what I'm hoping, because I'm also, I've said it before, I'm a bit concerned about this. Everyone's saying, first of all, the rebrand that Ghana's the safest country in Africa. That's a bad signal for me, to white people as well. It's a bad signal because since when it like that bad propaganda, negative propaganda that Africa has, it's a dangerous jungle out there. That's a problem. So when you're highlighting Ghana as the most safest place in Africa to come there, that's one thing I'm a little bit concerned about. I'm also concerned about this things that invest in Ghana. So you've got people coming with all your broken thoughts and issues, coming to think that you're going to make bare money up in Ghana, and then we're coming with because I think also it's in Trevor Noah's conversation. I've also said it before. We are broken black folks. No matter what, I can be as nice as I still come with some Western trauma, Western ideals. So when I go to Ghana and I'm complaining in the nail shop that it's not like my nail shop in London, that's a mindset. I can talk about service and standards, but I'm coming with a bit of snobbery and Western privilege, where I'm acting like, well, you lot don't know what you're doing. But yet when I'm not there, that business is thriving and everyone else is okay. I'm not saying that you excuse bad service across anywhere, but no matter what, we come with our Western issues and isms. And if I'm a road boy from London that comes with, I'm going to make bare money in Ghana. Also, I'm going to come, well, I don't like that next man, because next man thinks I'm thinks I'm an idiot. And I come into Ghana clubs, and which has been happening at the year of return. You get people fighting over nonsense, which I'm not saying that Ghanaian young boys don't fight, but there's not that same mentality. We don't have that kind of hatred for one another the same way we do in the Western world because of the way that the divide and conquer has happened. So that's where I'm just like, this open doors policy to everybody black, sure, but I also think there's not just everybody black can't just come in. Everybody black or everyone shouldn't be able to just get citizenship just like that. Is there a bit of a better vetting service? And we joked about it on the main show on Your Aunties Could Never when I was saying that, but there is something that I'm a little bit concerned about, and it applies to me myself as having grown up in London. It's just what I've seen, what I've heard from going to Ghana and hearing people talk, Western blacks talking about Ghanaians. I don't like it, so I'm a bit nervous as well. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. It's scary handing out citizenship because, in effect, when they changed the land rights and it was like you kind of had to be a citizen to have land now, and then you do that, and then you start handing out citizenship to a large amount of people that have a lot of money. Yeah, it's a bit scary.
Yeah,
it's scary because that's, as it stands, is one of my exit plans is to go and to go back to Ghana. So, but I'm a person of the world. I'll go where I can be free, and as I keep on saying, it'll be a mountain somewhere, and I don't care whose country it is because the world is mine. So I'll go there, and if it starts failing there, I'll move on again, as humans have done
what we
for
did.
millennia.
Thank you. Yeah. Exactly. That's what we used to do.
So speaking of citizenship, I don't know if you guys saw a 61-year-old woman has been arrested for allegedly dressing up in series of wigs and disguises to take life in the UK test on behalf of others. Talking of citizenship, here we go. Oh, for fuck, why does it always do this to me? Can you not hear?
No.
Why is it not working? Why? Okay, talk amongst yourselves.
The thing is, when anybody does things like this, I'm not the best person because I'm always like, please carry on and get to do what you got to do, especially when it's got anything to do with Britain. I'm always like, yeah, get people over here. They were going around the globe pillaging places. Yeah,
100%. You can't do that and expect not to get anything in return. You're going to get it. Fuck you if you think any differently.
It's a shame she got caught.
Yeah.
But the wigs, it's when they're coming down the stairs with all of her different wigs. I'm like, chick. But she did well. She got some people stay. It's fine.
Yeah. It's good for people to understand as well how it works over here. That, you still got to go pledge some sort of allegiance.
And think about actually, I can't even call her Auntie Kemi, but I know that's what's trending online at this moment in time, talking about Kemi. But Kemi Badenoch and her latest shit about like you're gonna have to be here 15 years before you get citizenship. If you can get people in quickly with disguises, I've got nothing against it.
I don't know if this will work, but let me see.
So good that you're taking citizenship tests for others, you might just be a 61-year-old woman from Enfield. A 61-year-old woman has been arrested in Enfield for allegedly taking the Life in the UK test on behalf of at least.
It's not the right thing. It's not this. The other one.
Try play the other one again.
I'll try because it keeps playing silently. I don't know why. I think they've had their thing removed or whatever. Let me see. But yeah. I'll figure it out. But yes, you have to.
We actually didn't talk over Kemi. Can you find that her speech where she laid out their immigration plans for the UK? Because there may actually be people in the chat that have a partner or potentially are seeing somebody that is outside of the UK and you're thinking of bringing them over. It's going to be extremely hard to do so if that little witch gets in power.
All right, let me look for it and I'll play this.
Been arrested on suspicion of fraudulently taking UK citizenship tests for 12 applicants while in disguise, the Home Office has reported. She was detained in Dartford, Kent, after investigators executed a warrant at a property on Friday. According to the Home Office, the woman is alleged to have taken tests at multiple centres across the UK using wigs and falsified ID documents to avoid detection. Chris Foster, the Home Office's criminal and financial investigation lead for London, stated that she went to extreme lengths to cheat the immigration system. During the search, officers discovered a second woman hiding under a bed. She was arrested on suspicion of entering the UK illegally. Authorities also seized suspected fake documents and a collection of luxury items, including designer handbags, watches and shoes, believed to have been purchased with criminal proceeds. The Life in the UK test is a mandatory requirement for British citizenship or settlement, assessing applicants' knowledge of British values, history and society. Both women remain in custody as investigations continue. A 42-year-old woman has been arrested on suspicion of fraudulently taking...
Oh
dear.
What a shame. Plan foiled. Oh well. Yeah.
Things differently. We're going to tell the truth, even when they are hard truths. A lot of the things that have gone wrong over decades in the country are because politicians make promises without plans. And just having an announcement is not sign of a policy. What we are showing is we've done the thinking behind saying we're just going to cut immigration. And the policy about changing the rules around getting citizenship and leave to remain is a sign that we have thought through and worked up a proper plan that will make a difference.
Well, let's talk about that plan, because a lot of it is about the net benefit a migrant has to the economy. How will you measure how much migrants are benefiting the economy? And doesn't this just favour the rich?
No, it doesn't. What we're trying to do is make sure that we don't create pull factors onto our welfare state. It's very good when we have people coming to our country, working hard and contributing. But if they need to have benefits, if they need social housing, then they're not net contributors to our economy. They are net recipients. And that makes everybody poorer because it means other people are having to work harder to pay for migrants' housing and benefits and so on. We need people coming to this country to be adding to our growth and productivity and to our society, not being net recipients of benefits.
Have you been bounced into this announcement by the rise of reform, and how concerned are you by their popularity in the country at the moment?
Well, I first talked about this plan in November. I made a speech a couple of weeks after being elected leader, and I said there would be more to come. We talked about having a hard cap on visas in law. That was the announcement in November. We've taken some time to look at this policy. And one of the things that is important is that Labour is bringing a bill next week about immigration that's actually going to take the country backwards. They're going to make it easier for illegal migrants to get citizenship. That's terrible. And we are the opposition now. The country's given us a job to hold the government to account. I need to be an effective opposition leader, making sure we steer the government on the right course as part of that.
But just on that second point, how concerned are you about the rise of reform? They would say they're the real opposition at the moment.
Going into fucking opinions out politics.
I hate to see her speak, and I hate to see her face, and I just don't like her. Yeah, and I want the woman doing Kemi's braid to have a chat with her too, but I think she's doing it on purpose. I actually think she's doing it on purpose because she doesn't want it to seem too black. She doesn't want it to seem too on point. Kemi doesn't want us to see her scalp. That's what it really is as well.
It's always got to be new growth. I feel like Kemi does her hair herself. There's just something about it. I think she just sits over and she just plats her hair herself. It's so bad.
It's giving that she got it done one time and she's just redoing it herself, plat after plat after plat.
Just an interesting comment from Stephanie DK. Hello. Dual citizenship in this age, as a working class foundational Black American, I'm assuming the pickings for second citizenship and permanent residency are slim to none. It's an interesting.
I mean, this is why, like, the forging links and actually having real conversations about providing citizenship for the diaspora is an important one to have. Like, there are so many other countries, not just in the Western hemisphere of Africa. It's like there are other parts that are open to Tanzania, Botswana. There are other places that are like, we actually need folks to come here, and there is citizenship there that's actually available. But then there has to be more, as you called it, was it global Black? We need to have more global conversations. Actually, how are we going to move around here? We've been placed in the West for various different reasons, and maybe we need to think about moving, and how does that work, and where are we going to go, and do collective migration movements out of harm's way and be somewhere else. Like that, it's important for us to be having these conversations, because maybe there are ways that we can all help each other.
Yeah, I think there's something like a global partner for Black folks. like what does that look like? What is that travel fund? Because I do get as well, when we talk about, I mean, UK, we have working class poverty, but we have I think we have a bit of an easier welfare system. I'm not sure. Black Americans speak on it. Because there's that poverty, the American Black poverty, or working class poverty, that's different maybe from the UK. So I do understand about when you're working class. One of the main things. Yeah, when you're working class in certain Western lands, it is the pits, and to bring yourself out of that to even travel somewhere else, it's a thing. But it is all about information and education, as we are saying on this conversation. Educate yourself as best you can about who else is out there. And even if you can't get out, there's even just an understanding of and feeling fortified by knowing you're not alone in your situation. There's a world of people that are ready to embrace you and welcome you back home. So even if that strengthens you on your day-to-day trying to think about it, because feeling inspired and watching people like PM Motley, she's from Barbados. I'm Ghanaian. I'm British. I'm looking at a woman that's talking the things that gives me fire every day to continue doing what I'm doing in a space where I'm trying to reinvigorate and provide visibility for Black creatives. All of it is food for our soul, and we need to get it from people like us rather than looking to Westerners who don't have our interests at heart. So it's even if you can't get out of the rut, it's being inspired and understanding, and not having your government say, well, it's the immigrants taking your jobs. Nah, it's the fucking that's keeping you.
It's a lie.
Yeah.
It's a big lie at this moment in time to again keep us looking sideways instead of up, because you know that even how she was talking, like, you know, it's a net zip. What does she call it? A net negative, or whatever her wording is, for an immigrant to come over here and they may need some type of social help. But it's not a net negative that you'll have CEOs of various companies and Starbucks not giving us any type of tax.
Any taxes.
Like,
yeah.
It's that. How can that be that all of these damn billionaires are getting tax write-offs talking about trickle down, when all it is that they are able to own way more properties than anybody else and own the globe, and then you have us poor folk having to then go to them for handouts. Like, we have to stop looking at what is going on with immigration like they are the ones that are taking everything. It's not. It's the rich people. It's actually to have a president that is a failed flipping billionaire, and then you have Elon Musk from another country where he shouldn't even have been in South Africa in the first place, still carrying on his colonizing ways, and people are heralding them like they are the second coming. No, they are your downfall. Like, literally, that's how we go back to flipping the 1800s, and when everybody was poor and you had kids going up chimneys and shit, and slavery. Like, we don't need to go backwards that way. It's those people that we need to be actually gunning every day, not all the reams of videos on immigration. Like, they are not the problem. They are trying to flee from what is going on with Western powers terrorizing them. Like, it's not them. They're not the problem.
I'd like to take this moment to reintroduce ourselves. This is News and Nonsense at noon. We are your favorite aunties, aka Farrah and Nana. I just want to remind you, because based on this comment from Day Delouse 215, how do you speak on Britain and Black people's experience, not be aware of who von der Leyen is? Listen, if you've made it this far, you need to know that we are sharing our opinions. We are not experts, and we've barely had enough time to research everything. This is the ultimate aunties.
She's a new leader of the G7 anyway.
Like factuals, ask TLC. Thank you. We could literally change our minds next week. Any links are shared are for you to do. Go forth and figure out your own damn selves. This is a conversation. We're not experts. We are finding out stuff as the same way you are. It's just happened to be that we're putting together this information to help. It's the conversation. It's a community. It's a family. So dead allows. No, I actually didn't know who von der Leyen is to repeat her name verbatim perfectly. I've seen her face. I know who she is. But she's, as Nana was saying. Sorry, continue, Nana. Say what you were saying.
No, it's just, I hate it when people try to belittle folks online sharing information with other people. Get on your own platform and start talking to things as well. Like, do that. Don't come in here criticizing anything. You either add to the conversation or you piss off out of it. Okay?
Basically, that's what your aunties have spoken. We're here, we're sharing knowledge, my loves. We're not experts. No one's professor. I'm a journalist. I have a journalism degree, but I'm not a professor. It is what it is. We're just trying to figure shit out and figure it out for all of us community. Thank you very much. Okay. All right. Back to, let's get it. Look, they're trying to, whilst they're trying to keep us oppressed, they're also having rich people having fun, creating madness. And let me get to it now. You took me out of my fucking organization, Dead Allows. Hold on, I had it all lined up, and now you got my go. So basically, Polish startup Clone Robotics has unveiled the Proto-Clone, an anatomically accurate humanoid robot designed for household tasks. A recent video showcases the faceless android suspended from the ceiling, its limbs twitching as artificial muscles activate. Whilst the company touts it as the world's first bipedal musculoskeletal android, social media users have expressed discomfort with comments likening it to a sleep paralysis demon. The Proto-Clone features over 200 degrees of freedom, more than 1,000 artificial muscle fibers, and 500 sensors aiming to closely mimic human anatomy. Look at this thing. I'm scared.
Oh, God.
This is what they're running to do. They're letting the billionaires play games with this type of shit.
That's scary, but they're coming though, isn't it? We know that robots are coming, like, you know.
They're here. They're here, man. They're here. They're not coming. I didn't even want to look at that thing again because I saw it before. And it's not nice.
It's actually made me itch.
Yeah, exactly.
Just to even make it even more. There's another one. Just to step.
You've gone on mute. Would you have a robot in your house?
You know I'm not. I don't even have fucking Siri.
Do you mean Alexa?
Yeah.
That too.
Siri's on your phone.
I don't give a damn. None of it. I don't want Alexa. I had an Alexa, and I think my mum had an Alexa, and it started playing her tunes for no reason. And we were like, get that shit out the house. My ex bought me one, and I was like, no, I don't want it. I know we're connected to every piece of connected technology. I know they can read everything, but let me not have it in my house. iRobot is my Bible, is my guidance tool. iRobot tells me everything I need to know about having a robot in my freaking house.
God. I wouldn't, because of what we've seen but I could be persuaded. I know I'm susceptible to this shit.
Listen, this one is a tiny AI robot kidnaps 12 large bots in Shanghai showroom stunt, right? So a small AI-powered robot named Urbai stunned onlookers after it persuaded a dozen larger robots to leave their showroom in Shanghai.
No, they're taking over already.
a viral video. Everybody asked one of the bots, "Are you working overtime?" And after learning it has no home, commands "Go home." The other robots obediently followed. While many initially dismissed the incident as a hoax, the Hangzhou-based manufacturer later confirmed it was a real test. The company stated that while it had permission from the showroom's owner, the robot's responses were not scripted, and Urbi's AI initiated the real-time conversation. Bruv, listen.
I've told you, look, I'm not having no robot. Like the other day,
Let's go home.
about driverless cars.
Are you still
Hold on one second.
working?
Oh,
Finish. Let me play it, and then you say what you're saying.
no, play.
We are still working. But you're going home, right? I don't have a home. Well then come home with me then. Let's go home together then.
Home is engraved in the robots.
Are you going home?
Okay, sure. Let's go home.
Let's go home. Let's go home.
It kidnapped 2 big robots.
Let's go home.
How many went out?
I saw it here. They ran, one by one.
Listen.
I'm not playing. I'm not entertained. I'm not part of this. Whatever this is, I'm not part of it.
Exactly, a robot uprising. Oh my God.
Have you not seen that film with Jennifer Lopez called Atlas? It's Atlas, isn't it? On Netflix.
No,
I skipped it. Yeah, I didn't bother watching it. Is it any
It's
good?
not- for a Jennifer Lopez film, it's not the worst Jennifer Lopez film that you've ever seen, but it's the
Okay.
concept of like the robots taking over and what happens. It's this.
Boy. Listen.
Oh my word.
Scary.
I'm not involved. I'm just not involved.
I'm not involved in that. Let me see where to go next. But yeah, I mean, the fact that it's like, hey, do you want to go home? And they all go. I don't like
I don't have a home. Come home with
Literally.
me.
You know, it's Humans as well, because I loved that season of Humans.
Yes,
And
yes.
all of the robots, and then, you know, the corrupt, like, chips, and then what people were doing to robots. We're going to have that world eventually. I think we will end up there. Hopefully I'm not around to see it, because I probably would have a robot in my house. I can't even front. I would. They're going to be helped. They'll help with the cleaning and all of that stuff.
What happened to a human cleaner?
I know, this is the problem.
Because you got the
jobs from people, Nana.
You got the human.
I went into Primark the other day and I really did go and use the machines. You know, I was like, you're part of the problem. You complain about jobs, but there you are walking around trying to find a till, and the closest thing to me was to self-checkout. So I self-checked out and felt bad.
Even in all the supermarkets, the majority of checkouts have changed now. They have like more self-service than they do checkouts. There's like 5 in a big shop, and then the rest of it is all self-service.
It's such a problem.
I'm not having it. I suppose, like, I'm going to try this segue. With all the jobs with all the jobs that are being lost, it's going to create a knock-on effect with people being unemployed and being homeless. So in Croydon, there's this activist called Ringo Vision, who claims to have served over 13,000 meals and has become a local figure for highlighting Croydon's homelessness crisis. However, police have issued him a 7-year community protection notice warning after reports of altercations and disturbance at Surrey Street Market. So he has been issued a warning over his antisocial behaviour linked to his outreach. People are saying it as actually they just don't want him to be serving the homeless. Here's a video. I couldn't find one specifically going into this.
You've gone on mute again. Okay. So he's been given an ASBO for giving people meals. Wow.
Is there an update on it though? Because this was a couple of weeks ago. So I wonder if what's happened since.
I couldn't find an update, and it's not much on it in regards. This is 2 weeks ago. So let's see what this is.
Okay.
Yo, Ringo. Our good vibes. Release stress. Feed the homeless.
I wasn't expecting
Ringo Vision on a mission.
It's the news thing.
I couldn't find a news thing.
I wasn't expecting the thing.
Wait, listen.
Yeah. So I appreciate each and every one of you that also has that ethos.
Okay, here.
That's
so
been using the shop. That was some experienced people, yeah. But back to the calls and what's actually happening at the moment. Yes, they've actually have banned me from Croydon, and we're waiting for all the feedback. So someone has created a petition, and I just want to applaud that individual and thank each and every one of you that's helped me and that's been here on the journey, supporting, understand, and that also believes in what is happening and has the love and the unity for humanity to rebuild back the tarnished love that people are facing through their lives, through trauma and all those sort of things, people, yeah. We must get the kitchen back on the road, everybody, yeah. Yes, we've been using the shopping trolley for the time duration of doing the mission. If we can get a van and be on the road, that's brilliant. But we're not going to stop if we don't have a van. We're going to keep going. You understand? This is an everyday thing. People are losing their lives because they're sleeping out rough. They're sleeping in the cold, especially at a time like this here in winter. It's peak. It's absolutely peak sleeping in a cold concrete floor in your local high street or your local shopping center. It's just raining. It's breezy. You understand? It's not nice, people. And most of all, the abuse that I've seen individuals that are sleeping rough on the street, the abuse that some of them are getting, and the judgmental value that people put on them. Not everyone out on the street is fully blown on drugs or a drug addict. And not everybody that's living out on the streets that's fully blown an alcoholic or fully blown have mental health. There are normal individuals, and everyone is normal until something major happens inside of their life that deters what their journey turns out to next. But who are we to be judgmental on individuals?
All right, so that's
Oh, bless him, man.
beginning bit.
Yeah.
He's trying to.
Okay. Yvonne gave a little bit more context. She said that they're saying he should have a food hygiene certificate to give out food. So that's one of the reasons as well. Is there, we can look into it though. Is there like a GoFundMe? Because if there is some way to help him to get that van that he is talking about, to get that certificate that they're asking that he needs.
Croydon.
This is amazing.
Wait, he's in Croydon, right?
Yeah.
Maybe Stormzy might want to give him some of that 4 million he got the other day. Help your Croydon
would
brother
be-
out. Why don't you
that
help
would be
your Croydon
great.
brother out? Yeah,
That would be
You got
great.
money from food from McDonald's. Why don't you give your Croydon brother some money for a van so he can feed the homeless in Croydon? Stormzy,
Fair.
put it out there.
That is fair. That is fair.
I'm gonna. I found this, but I don't. Again, I'm doing this very quickly. So
okay, if there is some help that the community could give to help him, because that's an amazing thing. I know definitely in Westfields, because you know they have quite a few of like the banks of beggars there. You can get a fine if you give them anything. So it's like they don't want you to help homeless people anyway. It's like that's a thing. But that he's doing it, and he has been for a year from his own pocket, making soup and food and giving them clothes. That's amazing. I think somebody said he has a soul and not many people do. That is the truth. That is literally the truth.
Bless him, man. Seriously. Fully rate him.
So I've dropped a link there. Again, disclaimer, I can't guarantee. I've just found it. So I think that's his. If you want to support him. And yet, absolutely 100% Farrah.
Okay. So that was his actual YouTube page that you was playing. That was his page. Yeah?
Let me just check again.
I saw it said Ringo.
Yeah.
You've gone on mute again.
I don't want to play and it plays out. Yeah. It looks like it's Ringo Vision. It's his platform. So I've shared that with him as well. So you can probably keep up to date with him on that if you subscribe to his channel. And yeah, big up. Like, yes, we get it. You have an idea, you take to the streets and you just do it. And sometimes, yes, you do. I understand getting permits and stuff like that. There is some bureaucracy that you have to go through, but it is just sometimes you that can deter you from even taking action, because you know you get scared by all the shit and the hoops you have to go through. Sometimes you just got to do it and then get the groundswell of support, and then you can start building a team that can, like, I'll deal with the bureaucracy. I'll just get on the road and do what I need to do and all that type of stuff. But you know, everything starts somewhere.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah. It's a great idea. Okay, let's see. Let's go to, guys, I need you to talk amongst yourselves.
Okay, all right. Will Smith says the argument has always been that giving money, buying food encourages the vagrancy and means that they won't make use of the services in place for support. I mean, if you see somebody when we had a shop in Kentish Town, there was basically like a bank of 3 different homeless people that would sit outside of the Sainsbury's, and you would get service people coming over to them and try and get them into various different forms of housing and everything else. We actually saw that in action. But just as a human, if I'm walking, but one of the girls was called Nat. If I walk past Nat, I will go into the Sainsbury's and buy her something. Or if I've got a £5 on me, I'm giving it to her. Just whatever her reasonings are that she has taken to street life, I can't in good conscience just bop past her when it's like sleet raining and you want to help. So I've got to help you just as another human.
Yeah.
I always give, when I've got it, and it's interesting the day now we're moving into a cashless society, but that is my...
Yeah, so...
I don't like donating to charities where I don't know where all the money's going. I don't like it. I can't just, go online and donate like that. I don't like it. I don't give to chuggers on the street then say, "I'll sign up to this." I don't do that. So my thing is, if I've got money in my pocket, I'll give to whomever I see if I've got it and I can spare it. And I do have an affinity to seeing Black homeless folks. And I do what I do. It's just my personal missionary to do what I can do when I do it. I can't go into, are they going to spend it on drugs? I mean, there may be 1 or 2 that's like, okay, you're literally tweaking, you're coming to ask me for stuff. And those that kind of get a bit...
Yeah, that's different. Yeah.
I have had a guy like, no, because you can't give me any more. And I'm just like, okay, now you can fuck off. Because like, relax. Like trying to barter with me. Like, let me, because I'm also poor in my version of...
You know what? Someone did that to me the other day, though. Someone, I said, look, I've only got, I don't have cash on me, right? I've literally got change. And like when I gave them, it was like £1.50 or something like that. They literally said to me, "You don't have any more." No, I don't.
And I think if you're going with a good heart, it's okay for you to have a little bit of an argument with them too. Like,
like, you want it or not?
I think it's that, innit? I'm giving you over £1, man.
True love is a very true thing. True love, hun. As a human, I've never understood the level of disdain for poor people. What's that?
Yeah.
I don't get
it.
I always say when people, especially in the Black celebrity space, when people start talking about broke people, like you're just broke anyway and I've made millions. But it's like a lot of us in the West who become famous or celebrities, we don't come from generational wealth where money is no object. You come from the bricks. So why the hell are you cussing people knowing that your journey is an anomaly? Your journey is 1 in a million chance of success.
If not even more.
Then look down on people because they haven't made it big. When you, I hate hearing it. I hate it. So you're broke and like that. What?
So was your daddy.
Cher said, "I think we've been made to be scared of the homeless." I think, and sometimes I can feel it, especially if it's somebody that you don't know. There's a familiar, like, when you're passing somebody all the time, I do feel more of an affinity to just somebody that you like walk past in a random street. Like I don't know, sometimes it's if I catch eye contact or they say like, like have a good day. When they catch me like that, I can't walk. Like, it feels funny. And I do remember randomly there was this kind of clairvoyant man that I watched his channeling, and the person had died that had come to him. And when she got to the other side, I don't know if this is true remotely, but it stayed with me. She gets to the other side and the angel is taking her about and is like, you can only make it to the middle level because you would always walk past beggars. And then they pointed out a time where she even looked back at the woman and she was pregnant and she noted like, oh, I should give her some money, and she didn't. And the angel noted that, and it's just stuck with me like, no, they're not gonna. they're gonna catch me out on bare things if the other side is like that. Let them not add beggars into the long list of
Yeah.
Let me not.
Yeah.
Look, exactly. Poverty is relative. Rishi Sunak didn't have Sky TV. The poor lad. Absolutely. Time checking his court too. Farrah, you said a hard out. We have a few more stories to get through.
I can't do a few. I can go to 5-2 at the latest.
Right, let's go. Right, so we have. This is just more of a conversation. So our queen, Angela Bassett, basically, it's just a recent conversation because this award season, and she's been revisiting the reaction to her disappointment after losing the 2023 Best Supporting Actress Oscar to Jamie Lee Curtis. So in a recent interview, Bassett said she found it interesting that she wasn't allowed to be disappointed, despite believing she was deserving. She reaffirmed that she had put in the time and good work over the years. Bassett, who later received an honorary Oscar in 2024, said she handled the loss like a human being and emphasized that her success was earned, not gifted. She stars in a new film with Robert De Niro in a political thriller called 0 Day. I'm going to play this clip and then let's discuss.
Okay. You're not sharing.
Week in, week out.
Bassett opens up about not being allowed to be disappointed over losing the Best Supporting Actress Oscar to Jamie Lee Curtis back in 2023. The 66-year-old actress revisits her loss with Town & Country in an interview posted on February 20th, sharing she felt limited in how she was supposed to respond. She was nominated for her work in Marvel's Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, but the award ultimately went to Jamie for her role in Everything Everywhere All at Once. Angela went viral for her facial expression during Hollywood's biggest night and is now reflecting on fans' reactions. I found it interesting, Angela told the outlet. Interesting that I wouldn't be allowed to be disappointed at an outcome where I thought I was deserving. And as far as Jamie winning,
Definitely was.
I love applauding people, but in that moment, I have put in the time, put in good work over time. I didn't think that was a gift. I thought it was a given. And a year after losing, the 911 star chatted with Oprah Winfrey in March 2024 about the disappointing moment.
I just knew your name was going to be called. And then when they didn't, I was beside myself. We were beside ourselves in our house. Were you
gobsmacked?
Were you
Yes.
gobsmacked? Were you gobsmacked? So Angela Bassett's face became like all over the internet because, and I thought you actually handled it really well because people are saying your disappointment showed, but I thought you handled it very well. What did you think?
Thank you. I thought I handled it very
I thought you
well
handled
also,
it
and
very
that was
well.
my intention, was to handle it very well. It was, of course, a supreme disappointment.
A supreme
and disappointment is human. So I thought, yes, I was disappointed, and I handled it like a human being.
I thought you did.
Angela, who was first nominated for an Oscar for 1994's What's Love Got to Do with It for her portrayal as Tina Turner, finally received her flowers in January 2024, when the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences recognized Angela with an honorary Academy Award at the ceremony, paying homage to her 4 decades in the industry.
I just want to quickly play another clip from someone else who reacted to this. 1 second. And then we can have a conversation because she goes into the kind of the racism of it all. Of why this
Will said her and Sam keep getting robbed. They've both been given the participation Oscars in recent years. Is that
And-
Samuel L. Jackson?
Yeah, and Spike Lee as well. But I think he's. We'll get into it. Hold on.
Jamie Lee
The expectation for Black women such as Angela Bassett not to show their disappointment at being snubbed once again is another example of dehumanization of Black women. It's also an example of white supremacy culture where there can be no discomfort experienced by European Americans. Yeah. The aspect of feeling as though you need to be inauthentic and not show your hurt and pain. It's just another representation of how certain European Americans just fake it till they make it and just expect us to do the same instead of just acknowledging the fact that we are human and we have feelings, and we're acknowledging that those aren't always going to be positive. When you're so used to being disingenuous, you expect everyone else to do the same. We're not doing that anymore. Burn the cape, y'all.
Bless her little child.
But I know. Just like kids, like I don't care if you're making a video, you're gonna hear my song.
But it's that, and I think it's an interesting conversation. But and I know people are like, we always tie things back to race, but there is this thing about being gracious and going along with it. And when we're talking about reclaiming who we are, connecting to our inner, what our blackness means. I mean, our faces are expressionable. So we have resting bitch face for fun, and it is what it is. And I don't want to have to smile and pretend. I mean, obviously there's graciousness. You don't have to be like fuck off. I wish I won. You don't have.
No, she did a Kanye. She didn't run up from the state and say and take the award. She didn't do that, yeah. But this thing about it's not always about race. Yes, it is. Yeah, it actually is, because to expect us to act a certain way that is not us is about race. You're making it about race. You're saying that like you just said, Aquia, to be prim and proper and to be this way, that is how you're supposed to behave. But who said you're supposed to behave that way? If you go to certain cultures and you look at certain award shows, like black ones, for example, people are expression. We show our expression. Not everybody is the same. We are not a monolith, but not everybody is the same in cultures. It's all very different. You're allowed to say cha, like that should have been me. You're allowed to do these things. There's been white people. Go on.
Yeah, go on.
I was just going to say, there's been white people, when, what's his name, the guy from Barbie, Ryan Gosling won his award, right, for Barbie. What you didn't see was,
I was like, why?
But when he won his award for Barbie, what you didn't see was the two white guys who were nominated. They decided in that moment to take the piss because they knew they wouldn't win. I think it was Andrew Garfield, and I can't remember who else it was, but they started kissing each other, because they were taking the focus of. No one's been saying, no one's like, oh look, you shouldn't do that, oh you're taking away from the person. But because she had an expression on her face that wasn't immediately standing up and doing a Taylor Swift and being like, yeah, oh my god, yeah, like you won over me, like louder woman. She deserved the Oscar. She's been deserving the Oscar. You keep telling her to show up to this place and to act like she doesn't care about it. Louder woman. Sure.
You don't have to, and I think it's that, and I think where also what I struggle with as well is this whole thing of you get the honorary, like Spike Lee should have won Oscars multiple, and we have like Leonardo DiCaprio doesn't have an Oscar, so we can have those conversations about there is this like it's like it becomes, has he won one now?
He won it for that bear film.
Oh, for the bear. Okay.
Yeah.
Long time.
All the ones that he should have won. He shouldn't have.
Yeah. And Martin Scorsese, I think, has Martin won one yet? Martin got
one.
He
has now.
Yeah, he has now.
So people go through these journeys where you don't always get them, and it's not just necessarily a race thing in that, but we also know there's a loaded situation when it comes to awards and black people in this creative space. Spike Lee should have won an Oscar for Malcolm X amongst a bunch of other films, and he's only just won one for Black Klansman, and he got an honorary as well in 2015 as well. So it's like this honorary thing that you're giving people that you should have. And I mean, I'm not going to speak on Anne. Maybe she's happy to have received it. She did go up and receive that award. I'm not going to take it away from her. I'm going to speak and say,
you're going to take it, aren't you? You're going to take it because it's still, you can still say that you're an Oscar winner, although we all know that is a pity. But also just on careers, to go back to Angela, her career is phenomenal compared to Jamie Lee Curtis anyway. So even just in her body of work, I can understand that it's not like Jamie has been working, putting in really good roles to win an Oscar. You'd be like, why does she deserve it? There are lots of us that are out here really keeping the industry alive. Like, so her face is symbolizing I've lost, and then I've lost to this chick as well. Like, she is not deserving of it. She did an all right performance. Okay, it was, but how many all right performances has Jamie Lee done compared to outstanding performances that Angela Bassett? We're not equal for her to be winning over me. So it's fair to be like, I'm not going to give her the well deserved. Sometimes you could do that because your colleague has worked as hard as you, and you're both in it equally. It's like, okay, it could be me, it could be you. But in that running, no, it was all Angela's, and it was out of order. That's why they gave her that consolation prize. And they seem to keep on doing that with black folk. You're either going to get the Rising Talent Prize or you're going to get the honorary. No, I want to get the award for the work that I've done, like everybody else. That's how it should be.
When Denzel, I won't forget, when Denzel was nominated for an Oscar for Malcolm X, he said it would be a shame if I get it for playing a slave but not a free man. And they didn't give it to him. They gave it to him for being a dodgy cop.
Look at that.
to round off the day, I just thought this story tickled my toes because
let it tickle you quickly because I need to leave.
Okay. And I don't have a video because I couldn't find one, but it's just this guy who this is an old story as well. In 2020, an Iowa man, Robert Lee Noy, 52, has been charged with harassment and false imprisonment after allegedly forcing a woman to watch the miniseries Roots to better understand her racism. I'm sorry, this gave me so much joy.
I know, I shouldn't even laugh. I did laugh
Wait,
at
what
this.
did he do? How did he force her to watch it though?
He kidnapped her.
He kidnapped her. He said, basically, it's not funny. I'm not laughing at kidnap. Cedar Rapids police responded to a distress call and found a 37-year-old woman and her 12-year-old daughter in distress. The woman reported that Noy had been assaulting her and threatened to kill her if she tried to leave while watching the series. She managed to call 911 and leave the line open. Police arrested Noy at the scene. He was taken to Lynn County Jail, but was not listed as an inmate. I'm sure I couldn't find all the story, but it's just, I'm not laughing at kidnap, attack, or anything. However, you force someone to watch Roots.
It's just making her watch Roots.
Yeah.
You know when like a black person does something and everybody's always like, well, what happened before? Like they got killed.
Yeah.
Like that's what I was like, so how racist was she? Because she may have been deserving of it all. I don't know what she had done to this man or what he had witnessed her do over a number, of years. And he was like, you know what, this chick, she needs to sit down here and she needs to watch all 12 hours of this shit.
Wow. You know what? I didn't think about it like that, but maybe. I remember reading Roots when I was in New York. I did an internship in New York, and I remember getting on the subway, and I was getting on the subway from Brooklyn, and I would go all the way to the Bronx, and I would have my big thick copy of Roots. And I remember the minute any white person would sit down next to me, I'd be like this. And I would hold my book up so high so that they could see it. Chat to me.
Yeah.
Say something.
Yeah, it does. You did say that. I did it, and I was again. I hope it's okay, and I hope there wasn't violence involved. But it's just like, you're gonna stay here. You're gonna watch Roots.
Then I'm gonna test you on it.
That's what Erin J's saying. Do you know how
violence? Just saying.
It's like 13 hours. You couldn't finish it on a flight to Africa. Right.
No, you can't finish. Like that's why he had to keep her in the house. Because he was like, you're not just watching one episode and you're laughing.
Watch it. Open your eyes. Watch it. Maybe that's what he did, like held her eyes open. This is not funny. But
it's not funny. They did used to
what
do that.
Did she do?
Watch their content. They did used to hold us down and make us watch certain content.
Yeah. Precisely. What did she do to provoke that man? He doesn't look like he was just doing it willy-nilly.
He was smiling in his mugshot.
Guys, welcome. Rock's just on. Hey, Little Rock. Well, we finished. We're going to watch it back now. So thank you guys for sticking with News and Nonsense at noon. It will be noon on a Sunday. Don't forget to check out
Noon and News and Nonsense.
News and Nonsense.
You didn't actually say what was news and what was nonsense and what was nonsensical.
We just was chatting. Well, look, okay, let's do a round up. That was definitely nonsense because it's news and nonsense. I think definitely the Black Diaspora Wars and stuff. We've got to keep it. The wars are nonsense, but the news about it is news. The homeless guy, news. What else did we have today? Angela Bassett.
We didn't have much nonsense.
No,
actually,
much nonsense. So what we just? Oh gosh, strike 22. We've discussed a lot.
Oh, strike 22. You've missed it, man. We are off. I know it's 2:00, so there may be people that are coming in now thinking we've just started, but we start at noon now.
Yes, it does news at nonsense at noon. That's Nana's moving it to noon o'clock. And I was watching like, okay, I want it to be 11:30, but Nana was like noon, and it was like it does. News and nonsense at noon works. Yes. You can watch us while you're in the gym. Energize you.
Bye guys. Thank you so much.
Happy Sunday.
Bye. Have a wonderful Sunday indeed.